Welcome to TLC Math Made Easy. In this video, I'm going to discuss about the laws of exponents. So sit back, relax, and enjoy learning. There are expressions in mathematics which state that a number must be multiplied by itself. For example, x raised to m means x times x times x times x, wherein x is multiplied by itself m times. In the expression x raised to m is what we call the exponent and x is what we call the base. The exponent tells the number of times the base is used as a factor, or it tells the number of times the base is multiplied by itself. For instance, 2 raised to 4 is equal to 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, and that is equal to 16. And a raised to 3 is equal to a times a times a. There are many exponential laws that are useful in algebra. The first law of exponents states that x raised to 1 is equal to x for all rational numbers. So kapag ang expression ay walang exponent, it's understood to be raised to 1. Example, 2 is understood to have an exponent of 1. So 2 raised to 1 is equal to 2. M is understood to have an exponent of 1, so m raised to 1 is equal to m. Let's take a look at this example. 2 raised to 3 times 2 raised to 2. 2 raised to 3 means 2 times 2 times 2, while 2 raised to 2 means 2 times 2. And 2 times 2 times 2 is equal to 8. And 2 times 2 is equal to 4. And when we multiply 8 and 4, the product is 32. So we know that 2 raised to 3 times 2 raised to 2 is equal to 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, wherein 2 is multiplied by itself 5 times. So therefore, 2 raised to 3 times 2 raised to 2 is equal to 2 raised to 2 plus 3, and that is equal to 2 raised to 5. This is the second law of exponent. And 2 raised to 5 is equal to 32. The second law of exponent, which is the product law of exponents, states that x raised to m times x raised to n is equal to x raised to m plus n. When you are multiplying expressions of the same base, you just copy the base and simply add the exponents. Let's have some examples. Y raised to 5 times y raised to 4. So we have the base, which is y, and we have the exponents 5 and 4. So we just add the exponents 5 and 4. So we get y raised to 9. So y raised to 5 times y raised to 4 is equal to y raised to 9. Next, negative 4x squared times 3x raised to 7. So the base here is x. So what we need to do is we multiply negative 4 and 3. So negative 4 times 3, and then we copy the base, which is x, and then we add the exponents. So we get negative 4 times positive 3 is negative 12. X raised to 2 plus 7 is 9. So negative 4x squared times 3x raised to 7 is equal to negative 12x raised to 9. Number 3, 5m raised to 4 n raised to 8 multiplied by 6m raised to 7 n. So again, we multiply 5 and 6. 5 times 6, and then we have the bases m and n. So we copy the bases m and n, and then we add their corresponding exponents. For m, we have 4 and 7. So we add 4 and 7. And then for n, we have 8 and this is understood to have an exponent of 1. So 8 plus 1. So 5 times 6 is 30. M raised to 4 plus 7 is 11. N raised to 8 plus 1 is 9. So the product is 30 m raised to 11 n raised to 9. Is this clear? Let us consider the quantity 2 squared raised to 3. 2 squared means 2 times 2, which is equal to 4. So this means 4 raised to 3. And 4 raised to 3 means 4 times 4 times 4. 4 times 4 is 16. 16 times 4 is 64. So 2 squared raised to 3 is equal to 64. And by the definition of exponent, 2 squared raised to 3 is equal to 2 squared times 2 squared times 2 squared. And by the product law of exponent, when we are multiplying expressions of the same base, we just copy the base and add the exponents. So we get 2 and the exponents 2 plus 2 plus 2. So therefore we get 2 raised to 6. So this tells us that 2 squared raised to 3 is simply 2 raised to 2 times 3, which is equal to 2 raised to 6. Exponent inside multiplied by the exponent outside. So the third law of exponent, or the power to a power law of exponent, states that the quantity x raised to m raised to n is equal to x raised to the product of m and n. Let's have some examples. The quantity m raised to 5 raised to 4. So exponent inside multiplied by the exponent outside. You just multiply these two exponents. So we get m raised to 5 times 4, and that is m raised to 5 times 4 is 20. So therefore m raised to 5 raised to 4 is equal to m raised to 20. Seven raised to 6, and then again raised to 2. So we have the base 7 raised to 6 and then raised to 2. So multiply the exponent inside and the exponent outside. So we get 7 raised to 6 times 2. 7, 6 times 2 is 12. So 7 raised to 6 raised to 2 is equal to 7 raised to 12. How about a raised to 4n raised to 3? Again, exponent inside multiplied by the exponent outside. So we get a, that's the base. We have the exponents 4n and 3. So a raised to 4n times 3 is 12n. Next, y raised to a plus 2 raised to 8. So again, we multiply the exponent inside by the exponent outside. So y raised to a plus 2, the quantity a plus 2 times 8. So by the distributive property of multiplication over addition, y raised to a times 8, that is 8a, plus 2 times 8 is 16. So y raised to a plus 2 raised to 8 is equal to y raised to 8a plus 16. Let's take a look at this example. 2 times 3 raised to 2, or the quantity 2 times 3 raised to 2. 2 times 3 is 6, and that is 6 raised to 2. And 6 raised to 2 is 6 times 6, that is equal to 36. By the definition of exponent, 2 times 3 raised to 2 simply means 2 times 3 is multiplied by itself. So 2 times 3 times 2 times 3. And by the product law of exponent, when you are multiplying expressions of the same base, 2 and 2, 3 and 3, you just copy the base and simply add the exponent. So 2 here is understood to have an exponent of 1. 3 also is understood to have an exponent of 1. So we get 2 raised to 1 plus 1 times 3 raised to 1 plus 1. And by the power to a power law, we multiply the exponent inside by the exponent outside. So 2 raised to 1 times 2 times 3 raised to 1 times 2. So we get 2 raised to 2 times 3 raised to 2. And 2 raised to 2 is 4. That is 2 times 2. 3 raised to 2 is 9. That is 3 times 3. So 4 times 9 is equal to 36. So therefore, the expression, the quantity 2 times 3 raised to 2 simply means 2 raised to 2 times 3 raised to 2. So this is the fourth law, power of a product law of exponents. X raised to m times y raised to n raised to p is equal to x raised to m times p. So exponent out inside multiplied by the exponent outside. For y, exponent inside n multiplied by the exponent outside p. So x raised to mp, y raised to np. So let's try to answer this one. The cube of the quantity a raised to 5, b raised to 2. So we just multiply, copy the base and multiply the exponents. So we have a raised to the exponent 5 times the exponent outside 3, and then we have b raised to the exponent 2 times the exponent outside 3. So we get a raised to 5 times 3 is 15, and b raised to 2 times 3 is 6. So the quantity or the cube of the quantity a raised to 5, b raised to 2 is equal to a raised to 15, b raised to 6. The quantity 3c raised to 9 raised to 4. In this case, 3 is understood to have an exponent of 1. So we just copy the base 3 raised to 1 times 4. And we have the base c, then the exponent 9 multiplied by the exponent outside 4. So 3 raised to 1 times 4 is 4. C, 9 times 4 is 36. If it's possible to evaluate the number, evaluate it. 3 raised to 4 simply means 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. 3 times 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 3 is 27. 27 times 3 is 81. So 3 raised to 4 is 81. Then we have C raised to 36. Next, negative or the square of the quantity negative C raised to 3. This is understood to be negative 1 Z raised to 3. So we have negative 1 raised to, this is understood to have an exponent of 1. 1 times 2. And then we have Z raised to 3 times 2. So we have the quantity negative 1. 1 times 2 is 2. Z, 3 times 2 is 6. And negative 1 squared means negative 1 times negative 1. Negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1. So it's positive 1 Z raised to 6 or simply Z raised to 6. Next, how about 2 raised to 5 divided by 2 raised to 3? Again, 2 raised to 5 means 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. 2 is multiplied by itself 5 times. And 2 raised to 3 means 2 times 2 times 2. 2 is multiplied by itself 3 times. And by cancellation, we cancel common factor in both numerator and denominator. So what's left is 2 times 2. And 2 times 2 in exponential form is 2 raised to 2. 2 is multiplied by itself 2 times. So that is 2 raised to 2. And then we have, since 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 is 32. And 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. 32 divided by 8 is 4. And 2 raised to 2 is the same as 4. Or 4 is the same as 2 raised to 2. So by the given example, you will notice that 2 raised to 5 divided by 2 raised to 3 is simply 2 raised to 5 minus 3. So when we divide our expressions with the same base, we just copy the base and subtract the exponent. So 5 minus 3 is simply 2 raised to 2. So fifth law, the quotient law of exponents. So x raised to m divided by x raised to n is equal to x raised to m minus n. So copy the base, subtract the exponents. For example, a raised to 10 divided by a raised to 7. So we have the base a, the exponents 10 and 7. So we just subtract 10 and 7. So we get a raised to 10 minus 7 is 3. So a raised to 10 divided by a raised to 7 is a raised to 3. Our next example, 15x raised to 9 divided by 5x raised to 8. Now we will divide 15 and 5. So 15 divided by 5, that is 3. And then we have the base x and the exponents 9 and 8. So x raised to 9 minus 8, that is x raised to 1. And since the exponent is 1, we don't have to write it. So we just write it 3x. 15x raised to 9 divided by 5x raised to 8 is simply 3 raised to x. How about negative 24? X raised to 8, y raised to 12, divided by negative 6, x raised to 7, y. Again, we divide the numerical coefficients negative 24 and negative 6. We copy the bases x and y. For x, we have 8 minus 7. And for y, we have 12 minus, this is understood to have an exponent of 1. So 12 minus 1. Negative 24 divided by negative 6 is positive 4. X, 8 minus 7 is 1. For y, 12 minus 1 is 11. Or this is simply 4x y raised to 11. I hope that this example is clear. The next two laws of exponents are just the extensions of the quotient law of exponent. We have here 2 raised to 3 divided by 2 raised to 3. And 2 raised to 3 means 2 times 2 times 2 divided by 2 times 2 times 2. And 2 times 2 times 2 is 8 divided by 8. And 8 divided by 8 is equal to 1. You know that a number divided by itself is always equal to 1. By the quotient law of exponent, we know also that 2 raised to 3 divided by 2 raised to 3 is just simply 2 raised to 3 minus 3. 2 raised to 3 minus 3 is 2 raised to 0, and 2 raised to 0 is equal to 1. This is the zero law of exponents. X raised to 0 is equal to 1. That is, any number excluding 0 or except 0 raised to the 0 power is equal to 1. Let's have some examples. 4 raised to 0. Right, that is 1. How about negative 4 raised to 0? Is your answer negative 1? Yes, the answer is negative 1. This is negative 4 raised to 0 is 1. So negative 1 times negative times 1 is negative 1. Next, how about the quantity 3x raised to 0? What's your answer? Alright, the answer is also 1. Because 3 and x are both raised to 0. Next, 3x raised to 0. In this case, x is the only expression raised to 0. So we have 3. X raised to 0 is 1. So 3 times 1 is 3. And last one, 5m raised to 0 plus 2a raised to 0 minus the quantity 4b raised to 0. So 5m raised to 0 is 1 plus 2a raised to 0 is 1 minus this is raised to 0. So the expression is raised to 0. So this is 1. So we get 5 times 1 is 5 plus 2 minus 1. 5 plus 2 is 7. 7 minus 1 is 6. For the last law of exponent, let's consider this one. 2 raised to 3 divided by 2 raised to 5. 2 raised to 3 means 2 times 2 times 2 divided by 2 raised to 5 is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. And 2 times 2 times 2 is equal to 8. 2 raised to 5 is 2 times 2, that is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. 16 times 2 is 32. And 8 over 32 in simplified form is 1 over 4. 8 and 32 are both divisible by 8. So 8 divided by 8 is 1. 32 divided by 8 is 4. So we get 1/4. By the quotient law of exponent, 2 raised to 3 divided by 2 raised to 5 is simply 2 raised to 3 minus 5. And when we subtract 3 and 5, we get negative 2. So 2 raised to 3 divided by 2 raised to 5 is 2 raised to negative 2. And by cancellation, we cancel 2 and 2 here, 2 and 2, and 2 and 2. So what's left is 1 over 2 times 2 is 2 squared. So therefore, 2 raised to negative 2 is simply equal to 1 over 2 raised to 2. This is the negative law of exponents. X raised to negative m is equal to 1 over x raised to m, or 1 over x raised to negative m is equal to x raised to m, where x should not be equal to 0. Is this clear? Look at these examples. A raised to negative 10. So remember that any expression raised to a negative exponent is not yet simplified. So we apply the negative law of exponent to simplify such expression as this. So a raised to negative 10 is simply equal to 1 over a raised to 10. How about 2r raised to negative 5? So in this expression, r is the only one raised to a negative exponent, and 2 is understood to have an exponent of 1. So we have 2, r raised to negative 5 is 1 over r raised to 5. Or this is simply 2 times 1 is 2 over r raised to 5. O basta tandaan na kapag negative ang exponent, yun lang expression na negative ang exponent ang ibinababa. Next, negative 3 u raised to negative 2, v raised to 8, and w raised to negative 1. Which bases have negative exponents? Alright, so the answers are u and w. So, yun lang ang ibababa o gagawing denominator. So, we just copy negative 3, and then we have v raised to 8. Since u has a negative exponent, so we just bring it down. That is u raised to 2 and w raised to 1. Since the exponent is 1, there's no need to write it. So, this is the simplified form. Are all the laws of exponents clear to you now? It's time for math challenge. Can you simplify 21 a raised to 9, b raised to 4, c raised to negative 4 divided by 3a, b raised to 5, c raised to negative 6? Alright, let's see if you have the same answer as mine. So we get 21 divided by 3 is 7. A raised to, the exponents 9 and 1, 9 minus 1. B raised to 4 minus 5. c raised to negative 4 minus negative 6. 7. A raised to 9 minus 1 is 8. B. 4 minus 5 is negative 1. C. Negative 4 minus negative 6 is simply negative 4 plus 6. So, negative 4 plus 6 is positive 2. Since the base B has a negative exponent, so we still have to simplify this. So, we get 7, A raised to 8, C raised to 2, all over B raised to 1 or simply B. Did you get the same answer as 7A raised to 8, C raised to 2, divide all over B? Right, very good. So I hope that you learned or enjoyed learning from this video. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel, TLC Math Made Easy. See you on our next video.